So in my last video, I said I wanted to talk about me raising my child with special needs and my experience and all that. But before I get into my actual experience, I thought it would be a good idea to share with you what I'm talking about, so you don't hear what I'm saying, go, well, I don't understand, So I figured I'd tell you what he's been diagnosed with and give you the information about that. And I just thought it would be easier for me to start that way. So I actually have a website up that I'm going to read from because I might get mixed up with my thoughts sometimes. That happens. And I will put the link to this website in the description box, so if you want to go to the website yourself and read it, then you'll have that information, and there's plenty of websites out there. So, my son has been diagnosed with, well, at the time it was called Asperger's, but they kind of took that and put it under the umbrella of autism spectrum disorder, because he actually had symptoms of both, but now it's all under one umbrella. So I'm just going to read to you what is on this website and what the symptoms are and all that. And I'm going to start with the autism spectrum, and then I'm going to move on to whatever else, which is ADHD. But I'm going to do this video with this and then make a separate video for that, so it's not so overwhelming. So what is autism spectrum disorder, which is also known as ASD? And the characteristics are persistent deficits in social communication and social interaction across multiple contexts. Restrictive, repetitive patterns of behavior, interests, or activities. Symptoms must be present in the early developmental period, typically recognized in the first 2 years of life, and symptoms cause clinically significant impairment in social, occupational, or other important areas of current functioning. Alright, I'm going to skip over some things that you can just read. I'm just going to go right into the early signs and symptoms. I'm not going to do the causes. I'm just going to do that part because, like I said, you guys can read this. Okay, early signs and symptoms. Symptoms of autism spectrum disorder vary from one child to the next, but in general they fall into two areas: social impairment, including difficulties with social communication, and repetitive and stereotyped behaviors. Let's see. Children with ASD do not follow typical patterns when developing social or communication skills. Parents are usually the first to notice unusual behaviors in their child. Often, certain behaviors become more noticeable when comparing children of the same age. In some cases, babies with ASD may seem different very early in their development. Even before their first birthday, some babies become overly focused on certain objects, rarely make eye contact, and fail to engage in typical back and forth play and babbling with their parents. Other children may develop normally until the second or even third year of life, but then start to lose interest in others and become silent, withdrawn, indifferent to social signals. Loss or reversal of normal development is called regression and occurs in some children with ASD. Okay, so let's see. Social impairment. Most children with ASD have trouble engaging in everyday social interactions. For example, some children may make little contact with eyes looking at you. They tend to look and listen less to people in their environment or fail to respond to other people. They rarely seek to share their enjoyment of toys and activities by pointing or showing things to others. respond unusually when others show anger, distress, or affection. Okay, so there's more that they talk about, but I'm going to leave that for you guys to read. All right, I'm going to go down to the next one. Communication issues. According to the American Academy of Pediatrics developmental milestones by the first birthday, typical toddlers can say 1 or 2 words, turn when they hear their name, and point when they want a toy. When offered something they do not want, toddlers make it clear with words, gestures, or facial expressions that the answer is no. For children with ASD, reaching such milestones may not be so straightforward. For example, some children with autism may fail or be slow to respond to their name or other verbal attempts to gain their attention. Fail to be slow to develop gestures such as pointing and showing things to others. Coo and babble in the first year of life, but then stop doing so. Develop language at a delayed pace. Learn to communicate using pictures or their own sign language. Speak only in single words or repeat certain phrases over and over, seeming unable to combine words into meaningful sentences. Repeat words or phrases that they may hear, a condition called, I don't even know what this word is. I'm going to spell it, ECHOLALIA. Use words that seem odd, out of place, or have a special meaning known only to those familiar with the child's way of communicating. And, of course, there's more that you can read. Okay. Repetitive and stereotyped behaviors. Children with ASD often have repetitive motions or unusual behaviors. These behaviors may be extreme and very noticeable, or they can be mild and discreet. For example, some children may repeatedly flap their arms or walk in specific patterns, while others may subtly move their fingers by their eyes in what looks to be a gesture. These repetitive actions are sometimes called stereotypy or stereotyped behaviors. Let's see. They tend to have like an over focus of certain interests. They may become fascinated with moving objects or parts of objects, like the wheels on a moving car. They might take a long time lining up toys in a certain way rather than just playing with them. They might get upset if somebody like accidentally moves something and they don't realize that that's how the child wants it. And they might become very, very upset about that. It can also take the form of like an intense preoccupation with like becoming obsessed with learning about a vacuum or trains or lighthouses or whatever it is. It's just a specific obsessed kind of focus. And they also have or can have like a big interest with numbers, symbols, or science topics. All right, I'll let you guys read the rest of that. And it has like who is at risk, diagnosis, treatments, living with, clinical trials, causes, and all that stuff. But I'll let you guys read about that because there's a lot that you can read, and I don't want to make this video really, really long. I just want you to have an idea of, you know, the aspects of this disorder. And just remember that not all children exhibit the same symptoms or behaviors or communication problems because it's on a spectrum. So you have high functioning kids all the way across the spectrum to severely low functioning kids. My son is on the higher end of the spectrum. And sometimes people who don't know about autism and the characteristics and such don't necessarily see that in my son. But when you watch him and you engage with him and you just kind of watch how he acts with other people, or his toys or whatever, you can see some of these characteristics, but they're a little bit more subtle than somebody who has a severe form of autism. So, like I said, I just wanted to give you some information about it, and of course you can always just go online and read about it. So yeah, that's the end of this video. The next one will be about ADHD, which he's also been diagnosed with. So that's going to be a separate video. So I hope this was helpful in some way, and I hope, if you're interested in learning about autism and all that, that you read up on it, go check out the websites, and, talk to people who have children that have some sort of special need, where they might need special therapy and stuff like that. Okay, well, I'm gonna go. Thank you for watching. Bye.